Welcome everyone. We will begin shortly. And if you will bear with us, we'll just give folks a couple minutes to jump on into the session today. And we will begin very shortly. So if you'll give us a couple of minutes, we are here. Just hold on for us and we will begin momentarily.
Again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the DCAP information session. We'll begin shortly. I would like to go over a few housekeeping rules really quick with everyone. Lindsay, if you're okay, I'll start the housekeeping rules. Okay, today's webinar is being recorded. You will notice that your microphones and videos are turned off for the webinar. Immediately following the presentation, there will be a moderated Q&A segment for the audience questions. Please remember to place your questions in the Q&A box. And just as a reminder, the host and the presenters are working remotely, so we ask that you excuse any background noises that you may hear. And for technical assistance, you can email Raina Whitted or Hallie Holmes. Our email addresses are on the screen, but that's rwhitted@cnhed.org. or hholmes@cnhed.org. Just to remind everyone, this is a co-hosted event with Wacif. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce Lucian Smith, the Small Business Advisor for Wacif.
Hey everyone. Wonderful to see everybody on the line today to pile on in here. We have a special treat. We want to actually give a great big old welcome to our partners and friends over here at CNHED, and with a special presentation that we have in store for you for the DCAP program. DCAP, DC Community Anchor Partnership, right there in front of you on the screen here. I'm gonna just let you know, of course, we're gonna go through the program and then also explain to you how we can really help you to take advantage of what it has to offer. And this is really just a part of, our overall, I think, intermingled really mission here of promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, resilience, and then also the capital to go along with it. So with that being said, I want to transfer over here to Lindsay, and she'll go ahead and give you the information that you've all been waiting for, which is about the DCAP program helped by CNHED. Lindsay, you can pop on in.
Thank you so much, Lou. And I just want to echo, we're very excited to be able to co-host this information session today. So thank you all so much for being here. And I see that Queen has already shared in the chat which business she's representing. And I'd like to just invite everyone to drop your name in the chat. Let us know which business you're representing. If you're comfortable, feel free to share your contact information. We're very excited to be engaging with you today. So as Lou mentioned, in terms of what we'd like to share with you today, we will start with some brief introductions and share a little bit about the DC Community Anchor Partnership, or DCAP. We'd love to share who we are, what we do, how we're here to help and engage with the businesses, and then hear from Lou and Rasul over at Wacif around the financial products and services that they have to offer, and do a Q&A as well. So I will quickly go ahead and introduce myself, Lindsay Poole, and I serve as the director of the DC Community Anchor Partnership at CNHED, which for those of you who may not be as familiar, CNHED stands for the Coalition for Nonprofit Housing and Economic Development. Q, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Wanda Patterson. Feel free to call me Q. I am a procurement manager with Johnson Cooper Consulting, Inc., JCCI, and we are working with DCAP on this initiative. And my responsibility is to primarily to help vet MBEs on behalf of opportunities that are presented by our anchor institutions. And I'm excited to be here and present. Thank you.
All right, Lou?
Hey guys, all right. And also I want to give a big shout out, of course, to the great work that the folks over at CNHED do and have done. And we'd like to say thank you for being able to pile on in here and get this rolling for us today. It's important that many of our businesses out there are able to understand and really grasp where the opportunities are. And as a part of our missions for promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that DC-based businesses are being looked out for, these are the types of programs that really make the difference out there, but especially when you understand where to go to not only find out where the opportunities are, but also how to go after them. Okay, and one of the great things about CNHED is that they will help you understand the procurement process itself. And of course, it's just one thing to know, hey, there's a contract, there's an opportunity out there, but how do you actually put together the documentation that will allow for you to win that bid? And this sort of skill set is what you can learn at organizations like CNHED, and they'll be able to give you something that you can take on with you, which will allow for you to win, to grow and expand your companies far beyond where they may be right now. And if you have this experience already, hey, great, you're already one step towards the goal, and you're kind of really positioned to take advantage of whatever comes out, okay? I wanna give a big shout out also to Rasul Shair. He's on the air with us here. He's a small business advisor here at Wacif as well, among other things. He wears multiple hats. And Rasul, if you could take a bit of time to introduce yourself to the people, that'd be great. We always love to hear your voice, my friend.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us. You could be anywhere, but you decided to be with us. Thank you for that. My good friend and colleague here, Lou, will be running the show primarily from the Wacif side, but I will be here just to listen in and add any additional tidbits of good information that might be useful. But once again, thank you so much to Lindsay and Q and the rest of the CNHED team this morning. So back to you, Lou. Good to be here. Looking forward to the conversation.
Great. Lindsay, Kiwanda, if you could, before we jump into your presentations here, I like to always help folks to understand how to really take advantage of and make the most of the information that they're about to receive. So rather than sometimes folks are in their cars, they're at their desks, they're walking around the kitchen, right? Whatever you're doing, let's make sure that we understand how to receive the presentation that's coming your way, because it means dollars. And of course, we want to make sure that you make sense out of it, no pun intended. So Lindsay, Kiwanda, if you could help folks to know what they're about to encounter, and then what they should be prepared for. Notes, what sorts of things should they be thinking of before they take in the information? What are some helpful tips you can help to give people out there to help them really take advantage of what you're about to offer?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's actually a great segue, because one of the things we'd like to share is just some background around how we got to where we are. I think there may be some businesses out there who are familiar with the DC Community Anchor Partnership. I see some folks who have logged on who I know we've had a chance to interact with, and others who might be hearing and learning about our initiative for the first time. And so I think any questions that you have, we are happy to take. But one of the things that I think will be important is just kind of hearing, in addition to what opportunities are coming up, Lou, as you mentioned, we're talking about dollars here, is also around what we're doing institutionally with some of our partners and the internal work that we're looking at with their policies, processes, and things. And to the extent that you have feedback on your own experiences with institutions and some of the barriers that you've experienced, that's really helpful information for us to have too, as we're engaging with the institutions as well. And we'll definitely get into that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And before I do, Q, anything you wanted to add to that?
Lindsay, I think you pretty much said it all. I might want to add just a couple of things. We will go over the criteria as well as opportunities like Lindsay said, and the intake form of how we can help you proceed with becoming a member. Thanks, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so can you all see my screen? Yes, okay. So for those who might not be as familiar with CNHED, I wanted to make sure I started by sharing that our vision organizationally is a District of Columbia that is racially, economically, and socially just. And we really look to 4 pillars in terms of how we bring this vision to life. And that's around policy, advocacy, research, and special initiatives. And today, of course, we're focusing our conversation around the DC Community Anchor Partnership, or DCAP. And that's really a community development solution that we view to be a powerful type of special initiative that we run. So I think, you know, Lou mentioned earlier the kind of intermingled missions between our organizations. And I thought it would be important too to just kind of provide folks some context around how we work together organizationally. So Harold Pettigrew, President and CEO of Wacif, is a board member of CNHED's. He and our President and CEO, Steve Glaude, are close, you know, thought partners, collaborators, leaders in the work. CNHED is also a membership association. And so we have around 130 or so members, and Wacif is a part. And it's really through that membership where we tap into the expertise and knowledge of our different members to inform a lot of our advocacy and policy recommendations. And Wacif has been really instrumental in that. On the special initiatives and programmatic front, whether it's CNHED's DCAP initiative, or it's Wacif's Enterprise and Women of Color initiative, it's Ascend initiative, other programs, we're in communication with each other about how we can really link arms and best support the business community that we're here to serve. Before I move forward, Lou or Rasul, is there anything you wanted to add to that? Okay, cool. So what is the DC Community Anchor Partnership, or DCAP? DCAP really is a collaborative of hospitals, universities, and utility companies in the district. And they've made a commitment to increasing market access opportunities to DC-based minority-owned businesses. So we're working with a lot of these institutions, both on an individual level and also as a group. And I did see we have some of our institutions represented here. So thank you, Maya, for being here from Georgetown. A little bit of context. So when we started this initiative a handful of years ago, we did some research on both the demand and sort of supply side of things. And so when we looked at the time, the 18 hospitals and universities that were in the district, they were collectively procuring around $2 billion per year in goods and services. And we saw that a small percentage of that was going to DC-based minority-owned businesses. On the other hand, we were looking at, you know, what is the market in DC of minority-owned businesses, and especially those who have employees. And at the time, we found that there are around 3,700 businesses. So we really saw a definite opportunity to leverage the procurement and purchasing power of these institutions, their economic influence here locally, as a way of growing DC MBEs, who we know are central in creating jobs for DC residents and also in building generational wealth. So we assembled a team, and CNHED is the convener of DCAP. So CNHED organizationally leads the DCAP initiative, but we're also co-convened with the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. So in addition to them really serving as a thought partner in the work, they also have a presence on our advisory board as well. And we also knew that we were not procurement or supplier diversity experts. And so we've been really grateful to work closely with JCCI, our team of consultants who bring years of procurement and supplier diversity expertise in the corporate space. Dolores Johnson Cooper and Tanya Penny, who formerly led procurement and supplier diversity at Verizon, retired, started their own consulting firm, and we've been grateful to work closely with them. And as they've expanded their team, and Q from JCCI, as you heard, is here today, and you'll hear more from her later in the presentation. So when we first started DCAP, we were working with 4 institutions: Bridgepoint Healthcare, Children's National Hospital, Sibley Memorial Hospital, and Georgetown University. And when we started our engagement with them, we did a analysis of what we could track the current spend with these institutions with DC MBEs to be. And at the start, we were able to report a little over $5 million in spend. As you can see, over the years, we've worked closely with these institutions to more than triple their spend with DC MBEs. And I'll share in a couple of slides how we've worked alongside those organizations to make that happen. We have since expanded. And so within this past year, we've added a number of institutions. You can see them here. Adventist Healthcare, who manages Howard University Hospital, GW Hospital. Through our relationship with GW Hospital, we're also working now with the new hospital at St. Elizabeth's. Of course, it hasn't come online yet, so we're currently working with the construction team to identify DC MBEs to be considered for a lot of the subcontracting work that they're doing as they build that out. Whitman Walker is actually our latest institution to come on board. Many of you might be aware that they're significantly expanding their campus as part of the new hospital at St. E's, so we're excited to be working with them. UDC in the university space, and then we also this year started working with utility companies. So DC Water and Pepco have also come on board. So here's a view of all of the different institutions that we're working with. And I think something that's worth noting on this slide is that each institution is at a different place in its spectrum of supplier diversity. And so when we brought on DC Water and Pepco, they came with already very well-established, robust supplier diversity programs with the infrastructure in place, the leadership buy-in, and other things. And we're also working with, the other institutions who fall along different points along that spectrum too. I think it's worth pointing out that one of the things that we really look to do as we engage with each of these institutions is to really meet them where they are and to begin a journey with them. And I think Georgetown is actually a great example of this. When we started working with them, as you saw, they were one of the original 4 to come on board as we were kicking this initiative off. We've been working alongside them for the last handful of years, and just a couple of weeks ago, Georgetown formally announced their first ever supplier diversity program with goals. We were honored to have been invited to their Supplier Diversity Council meeting, where they've convened a number of their leaders across the university to really hold this program accountable and measure their progress against the goals that they've set. So shout out to Georgetown University, I think a great example there. So in terms of how we help, I think with the anchor institution piece, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's important that we talk about this because this is really the longer term systems change focus of the work. And so when an institution comes on board to join DCAP, one of the things that we do is a kind of comprehensive current state assessment. So We're benchmarking their spend. We're conducting procurement analysis. We're looking at what policies and procedures are currently in place so that we can ultimately provide recommendations around how to make those practices more inclusive to be able to include small, local, and minority-owned businesses where they might not have been able to have had that opportunity in the past. We also meet with the institutions on an annual basis and consistently throughout the year so that we can understand what their purchasing needs are. When we're made aware of that, we identify businesses that might be able to meet those needs. We provide those referrals over to the institutions. And then, of course, tracking and reporting. And I'll just kind of pause there for a moment because I think there may be some businesses on the line thinking, well, you've been around for a while, but I haven't heard of you. And why is that? And we actually made a decision to not be super public in front of the business community around this initiative because we wanted to first really focus on doing the internal work with the institutions, building up that institutional will, re-engineering systems that might not have been as inclusive or serving the business community in that way. And so that's really been our focus over the last handful of years or so. And we're now at this point where I think we're doing more of this sort of outward engagement, and this information session with Wacif is a great example of that and sort of a milestone in this longer term journey that we're on. So then for the businesses, in terms of the kind of support that we're looking to provide and the value that we're looking to add to you all, one, of course, is opportunity awareness. So as we look to understand the different opportunities that are coming up on the side of the institutions, we will be reaching out to those who there might be a match and making you aware of those opportunities, having a conversation to see if this contract or this RFP is a good fit for you. The other piece is, if it is, offering some assistance around bid preparation. Lou touched on that a little bit earlier. So for those who decide to go after a particular opportunity, we're here to provide any assistance that we can as you're preparing your bids and getting them submitted. Training is another piece. So tomorrow, for example, we'll actually be hosting a training around RFP response strategy. You'll hear from Dolores and Tanya over at JCCI, as I mentioned earlier, as they share their expertise around best practices and strategies as you are looking to pursue different RFPs that come online. Teaming, to the extent that we can help facilitate some teaming amongst our network of suppliers. We actually had a supplier join another for an opportunity with one of our institutions just a couple of weeks ago. So we're eager to see what the result is there. And access to capital. So really that's connected to our relationship with Wacif and making referrals to financial institutions like theirs and potentially others, depending on what the capital gap might be as a contract becomes available as you're looking to pursue it, or if it's in place and you see a gap there, we want to have those conversations so we can help make the right referrals and connections with some of the financial institutions that we're connected to. And of course, a success story. So Shanar Little of Fog Hill, he leads a facilities maintenance company. And he, a couple of years ago, won a contract again at Georgetown University. And it was a project to focus on cleaning, some of the areas on campus. And he was able to hire around 60 new employees. And his big commitment, of course, was around employing DC residents. This was a contract that was seasonal, so it had its end date But it's been great to hear from Shinar about the long-term impact that this contract has had, the kind of past performance that he can speak to as he looks to pursue other opportunities. We also nominated Shinar actually for a Small Business Person of the Year award with the Chamber last year. Georgetown supported that with their letter of recommendation, and Shinar was able to win that award. And so, you know, just the kind of branding that can kind of come out of an opportunity like this to help continue to grow the business, make other key relationships and that sort of thing. So we're really happy for and excited for Shinar. So Q, I mentioned, has been instrumental in the DCAP process. For those of you who are a part of the DCAP network, you have likely heard from Q. If you haven't, you likely will at some point in the future. And she really just does an excellent job making businesses aware of the opportunities that are coming in, talking through the requirements and that sort of thing. So I will hand it over to Q to cover some of our criteria around business engagement.
Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate it. So DCAP has established a criteria to support our decision-making process of how we select MBEs to refer to our anchor institutions. You must be a registered business located in DC. Simply put, you must have a DC business address. Your company may have a location outside of DC, and that's perfectly fine. But again, you must have a DC business address. You must be at least 51% minority owned. MBE certification is preferred, but it's fine if you don't have that. We know that DSLBD provides CBE certification, but not MBE certification. So we will accept suppliers who have MBE certifications through MDOT or NMSDC or other certifying agencies. You must have been in business for at least 3 years. And this is because most small businesses take at least 2 to 3 years to be profitable. So we want to make sure you are a profitable business. You must have an active business website and business email address. So your URL for your business must be up and running. So at the time that I check to make sure that your website is valid, it needs to be up and running. In addition, you must have a business email address. We cannot accept your personal email address. So no gmail.com, no yahoo.com, no verizon.net. None of those will be allowed. We prefer an up-to-date capability statement, but we know that a lot of businesses, especially the smaller ones or the developing ones, might not have a current one, and that's perfectly fine. That's something that you can develop later and send to us, but it does help if you have a capability statement that you can submit to us. Lindsay, next slide, please. Thanks. This opportunity pipeline is based on what our anchor institutions have expressed as upcoming categories in which they would like for us to provide MBEs. So construction, of course, is a prominent category. As you would imagine, if you live or work in DC or ride through DC, you can see all the major construction underway. All the other ones listed, they are also upcoming. So these are opportunities that the anchors have for you all. Thank you, Lindsay. Now I'd like to discuss a little about completing the DCAP MBE supplier intake form, which asks for your current, your contact information, categories that most accurately capture your business, certification information, whether you're an MBE, a CBE, 51% minority owned, et cetera. Number of full-time and part-time employees, whether you've done any work with any of our anchor institutions. And also at the very bottom, there's a cell that captures anything else you'd like to include. I know in the past, I've had MBEs ask, what might they be able to put there? And I've always referred them to look back on the form and see what, if they checked other services under the category section, just detail what those other categories that apply to their business, detail that in that section so we know what else you provide that, that hasn't been captured on the intake form as of yet. So to submit the intake form, that comes about after you submit the intake form. We will contact you when there's an opportunity from our anchor partner. When that becomes available, you'll get a call from us. You'll also receive an email from us. We'll inform you based on the categories you selected on the intake form. That's how we'll know how to contact you. So we'll inform you of an opportunity from an anchor partner. It could be that the RFP is already written and ready to be released or has been released. So we have the scope of work and a list of requirements that we can give to you that will detail exactly what they're looking for. In other cases, the RFP may not have been written, but the anchor institution knows that the opportunity is coming up within the current quarter or the following quarter. And they just want to make it known to us to just start looking for MBEs for those services for later. So in both instances, I would inform you of the opportunity. If I give you a call, send you an email, we'd go over the requirements and you'd let me know if you're interested. If you're interested in the opportunity, then I would forward your contact information along to the anchor partner. The anchor partner will follow up with you, but we'd like for you to keep in contact with us. So if you decide to respond to the RFP, once it's released, please let us know. If you win a contract through that, please let us know. Again, we are in contact with our anchor institutions, but we meet quarterly or sometimes monthly with some, but we'd like to get this information with you and just to stay in contact for you to keep us in the loop. We do have expectations, responsiveness to outreach. Our anchors may share outreach events with us, and at times the turnaround is rather quick. It could be 2 days. We just like for you to respond and let us know whether or not you're interested or if you plan to attend. If you had attended, let us know. Another one is willingness to share data as far as completing the intake form and keeping us in the loop, that is. In addition, we may send you an annual survey for you to complete at the end of our fiscal year. It'll just capture a little bit of information from you. Next, align with DCAP focus on local job creation and wealth building, and simply put, hire locally to benefit the community. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you, Q. And I want to sort of emphasize one of the points that Q, you made around staying engaged with us. We actually had an example come up just this week where one of our businesses was asked to get a certain type of insurance to be able to move forward with a master services agreement. And she made a great case for the fact that it doesn't make sense to pursue that until she knows she has some work so that there's an ROI there. And the importance of letting us know that is we can help with those conversations as well. So of course, you as the business or your #1 advocate, you're having those negotiations directly with the institutions. It's helpful for us to be aware of that too, in the case that there's a role for us to play in engaging in that kind of advocacy as well. And I think it really goes back to working with the institutions, and it's really a change management process on what processes are in place that aren't helpful to small businesses. So just want to kind of emphasize that point about engaging with us so that we can best support as well.
If I
All
could
right.
hop in-
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Lou.
No, you go ahead. I'll hold it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So just wanted to kind of close with an acknowledgement to all of the different partners in the ecosystem who we work with to make DCAP possible. So our funders, DEMPED, JP Morgan Chase, Kaiser, Citi, Wells, and LISC. And of course, our community partners, Wacif, LEDC, and DCP TAC. So we're happy to take questions at the end. I see some are coming through in the chat now. And I think before getting to the one that I see, Lou, I do want to allow you to, or share back the time to speak to what you were going to jump in with.
Absolutely. I don't know, Lindsay, if you can go back to the slide that displays the institutions, the anchor institutions involved with the program here. And I just want to point out, this is extremely important work, and I'd love for everyone to get in on this and to participate to the best of their ability right away. As we can see, most of the organizations here, of course, also receive public funding, right? To some degree, in some way. And so being able to make sure that contracting, of course, is awarded in a very fair and equitable way is actually, just what should be being done. I want to give you guys kudos. Growing from 5 to 17 million in 3 years, that's excellent. It's wonderful. And so I want to just ask so that folks know, how can a business owner make the most of this program before how can they be prepared before the opportunity comes out? Because of course, we know sometimes there's not a lot of time between when you're notified about the opportunity and when they must have those bids, those identified CBEs or MBEs who are ready to go for that contract. How can one prepare themselves to be primed and just the ideal candidate for one of these opportunities right away?
Hugh, do you want to take that?
Sure. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I did mean to discuss that businesses come in various categories. So we have developing, businesses. We have ready now businesses. The ready now businesses, they're set. They're ready to go. The developing ones, anchor institutions are willing to work with them and also to help get them prepared. JCCI, for one, there's the RFP Response Training session that's tomorrow that MBEs should attend to get a lot of information on strategies. You should definitely make sure you have, a website, make sure you have your business address, make sure that if you need any training, let us know. If you need help preparing for the response to the RFP, let us know. We can help you with that. If you need any other, I'm trying to think of anything else, but we're willing to help. We're here to help. I speak with the MBEs often, and we try to help them as best as we can if they need that support before they can proceed with an opportunity, Lou.
So,
Yeah.
and go ahead, Lindsay, sorry.
And I was just going to add, some of the feedback that we've heard from the institutions directly, folks who are in the procurement teams are getting names of businesses from leadership oftentimes saying, I've met this business, I think they'd be great for us to consider. And by the time the name of the business gets to the procurement person, and they start to do kind of that first stab at what needs to be in place for a business to be simply within the system. So as Q said, it's things like, do you have an active website? Do you have a business email address? Do you have your certifications in place? So a lot of these sort of foundational pieces that an institution is going to look for just at baseline. And so that's something that I think is important to call out, because those are pieces that you don't want to miss, because they're sort of that foundational first step into the door. And then I think to the point that you mentioned, Lou, that you know, a lot of times when these RFPs are posted, it's not that it's too late, but there may be others who have done some pre-work. And so I think it's about building relationships with the right folks, and kind of keeping a pulse on what supplier outreach events are a lot of these institutions doing. And when that happens, you know, asking questions so that it's an opportunity for your business name to be put in front of the institutions, and just sort of building your visibility in front of them.
2 follow-ups on that, then I want to jump to the questions here. Folks, this is a tremendous value add, okay? For someone to be able to help you with understanding how to put together bids, proposals to win, it's going to save you thousands of dollars, okay? And this is a community organization that has contracted with JCCI to be able to put you in that position. And so I want you to key in on that and really take advantage of it. Also, when you mentioned others out there who have, you know, done the pre-work, they've networked, they've formed those relationships. If someone doesn't have those right now, can you give us a very, very quick rundown on how you should start to do that?
Yeah, I'll respond, and then Q, if you have any additions, please feel free. I mean, so one of the things, again, that we hear from the institutions is that they'll host, let's say, a supplier outreach event or a pre-proposal conference. And you want to see they want to see presence at those events. So whether or not these outreach events or pre-proposal conferences are for opportunities that you yourself are planning to pursue now, it's good to simply attend, so that, number one, you're beginning to build your understanding of what matters to this institution, this potential client. You can begin to think through what your value add based on your understanding of their kind of needs are. But also you're beginning to kind of keep an eye on who else is in the room and who the players are, so you can begin to reach out and start to form those relationships. So I think that's a really critical piece, is for those potential clients that you're pursuing, keeping up with what's going on in their worlds and where they're hosting opportunities for you to be able to meet them.
Gotcha, thanks. Q, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Lindsay. Just earlier this week, I had sent out an opportunity last week, but a particular MBE notified me that she wasn't able to attend that event. And I understand, you know, sometimes you aren't able to attend the outreach events or the bid meetings, but I will say, if you can, please do attend them, because that's where you can ask your questions and get a lot of information from those seminars, those webinars they have, the outreach events that they host. So that's a great place to just make that connection. Thanks, Lou.
Lindsay,
Cool.
can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the space. I'm the probably silent one by design today, but to listen. One thing I was wondering, I'm thinking from the side of business, if every opportunity to learn about what requirements need to be on the table, what do we need to do? Are there any opportunities to the CNHED side to provide opportunities for new businesses to maybe information interview businesses that have gone through the process before, to sort of learn of their own direct experiences? Because as we've talked about in the past in some of our own internal meetings, we've always asked, well, what do the contracts look like? What is the process? And if it's a $500,000 contract or opportunity, it looks one way, right? If it's a $2 million, it's a different. So there's all these, one size doesn't fit all. So
Right.
you can't really present a model. I'm not saying anyone's asking for that, but it's kind of hard to, well, how do you, there's 1,000 different ways potentially to prepare. So I'm just wondering, is there anything in place for businesses that have gone through the process that can have accessibility for new businesses to information interview them and ask them what your process was like? I don't know if there's anything in place like that. So I think that might be useful if there's some resource like that available to new folks that are getting into the into the space and wanted to learn and get educated on that respect?
Yeah, so we don't currently have something like that in place, but I love that idea. And I think that's definitely something we can go back and put some real thought to how to make that happen. And I think the other thing is, to your point about the wide range of opportunity, and a lot of that can depend on the industry or the category of spend that we're working with the institution on, is it may make sense for us to look at that on an industry by industry level. And so to answer the question, we don't have that in place now, but I will definitely take that idea back, and I appreciate you sharing it. I did. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to bring special attention. If you don't have the chat in front of you, please do so. This is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of here. I'm seeing that there's an RFP training tomorrow at 12 noon at CNHE, RFP, request for proposal, teaching you how, of course, to prepare a proposal to bid and win opportunities out there. So I just wanted to say, hey, if you don't have the chat in front of you, please bring it up. Click on the link and register for the event. This is one of the best skills you can develop if you're going to be in that B2B business to business or business to government space. Okay, Lindsay, go ahead. Just wanted to bring that up.
I appreciate it. I saw there was a question submitted around anchor members. Do they have shared metrics and a unified data system to report on MWBE targets and outcomes? That is not something that we currently have in place. And I would say each institution has its own portal. Some do, others don't. That is for suppliers that will kind of outline what their goals are, what their supplier diversity program looks like if it's in place. And so I think one thing that we can do is we can share that out so that you can, for the institutions in our networks who do have that publicly available information, you can kind of start to dig into that institution by institution. But the idea of a unified data system that is public, I think that's something for us to think about, but it's something that we haven't yet implemented.
Cool. And folks, if you have any other questions here, let's see, piling in here from Sean. Hey, Sean, that's a wonderful segue. We're going to go ahead and jump into a very brief overview of how Wacif can help you in terms of funding to take advantage of these opportunities. So I'm very happy to see that question there. Naturally, we want to put you in the position to win. And winning, of course, takes capital. And you have to be able to fund that effort in order to move forward. So without further ado, I'm going to take over the screen and do a quick screen share here, guys. Also, I want to bring attention to knowing that, you know, what I'm going to present to you here today is really going to just show you how we can, of course, be inserted into the process here. But I want you to make sure that you sign or go online and sign that intake form with CNHED to make sure that you're in their system so you can start finding out about these opportunities. Okay. All right. I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint here on the screen. 1 second. That should be easy enough, right, guys?
Hey, Lou, that question from Sean, that's what we call in Wake Up an alley-oop. See how he's kind of served that up nicely for you? So that's what we call an alley-oop in Wake Up speak. So
he alley-oop. That was excellent, man. And I must say, you know,
thanks, Sean. We appreciate that.
Thanks, Sean. I'm feeling really cool right now. You know, much like our backgrounds. I'm going to say, CNHED, you got to work on your backgrounds. I think we're killing you with the backgrounds here. Our purple, and you know, we're just doing our thing right now, man. So, all right. Let's segue on over here. Okay, on to Wacif. I'm gonna, you know, of course, most or many may be familiar with what Wacif is and who we are, the Washington Area Community Investment Fund here. And of course, I'm gonna go through these slides here. I know we have an hour of time. These sessions always go so quickly. And so, of course, you can see, of course, we've been here since 1987, doing our thing in the DC area here. Picture of both myself and Rasul. We got small business advisors here at Wacif. And I want to just move forward so that you understand here just what we've been doing. Of course, our mission is to promote equity and economic opportunity in underserved neighborhoods. And we've been doing so in the Washington, D.C. area since 1987. We're composed of actually 6 centers in our 5th year. We'll add in the logo here as soon as we launch. We have, of course, the Ascend to Capital Accelerator Program, the Enterprising Women of Color Center, otherwise known as EWOC, and the Minnesota Avenue Main Street program, as well as the Greater Washington Center for Employee Ownership. Okay, these are our programs here. Of course, if you're unaware of them, please feel free to check them out. We have an awesome staff that can help assist you in whatever you need, whatever you want to get done. And again, our 3 pillars: inclusive entrepreneurship, community wealth building, and equitable economic development. Now, on to the good stuff. Let's talk about our small business loans and our line of credit. So I want to really hone in. Of course, you see the loans up to 50K. Of course, we can help you with that. Equipment financing, of course, we can help you with that. Working capital term loans, of course, we can help you with that as well. But I want to talk about the being able to prepare yourself for opportunities to take advantage of government, or rather, business contracts with anchor institutions out there. Our contract term loan will allow for you to get the funds you need to ramp up. What does that mean? There's going to be a space between where you're actually able to start that contract and eventually start billing. Okay, and if you're billing on a monthly basis, you're invoicing, sometimes you may have to be able to carry the overhead and the cost of paying salary, buying equipment, software, systems, etc., before you start to get paid on that contract. This may take 60 days, 90 days, just depends on what's going on and however you negotiated your outlay here, okay? So in order to go after that large opportunity, we don't want you to worry about the funds that will be required for you to actually perform. We just want you to be able to win. Once you have demonstrated that you have won, we can, of course, take that signed document. We'll have it in black and white that you won this contract, and we'll be able to help fund that effort. Now, of course, for us, we're going to have to see and do our due diligence on our part. Sorry, I'm talking fast here. I know we have short time. Our due diligence, of course, is going to require that you've been in business, okay, for 2 to 3 years. If you have the signed contract in hand, we can kind of work around that. It just depends on some other specs and other data points with your company. But we want you to get in contact with us first before you go down that path, because we'd like to check everything out and make sure that you don't put yourself in a position where you wouldn't have access to funding, of course. And so what that would require is for you to go online and fill out an intake form with us, and I'll get to that in a second. So with the contract term loan, we're simply looking at your ability to get an initial loan at the start of a contract to carry you through until you're going to start invoicing on that particular contract, okay? We're going to give you the money to get everything done before you get paid, to make it short and sweet. Now, the contract line of credit portion here, which you see under number 5, is based on your receivables. Much like invoice factoring or invoice financing, we're going to fund you based on your outstanding invoices that have not been paid as of yet. And this is an excellent tool to have in your wheelhouse, because it will allow for you to know, hey, I don't have to sit and wait and just shiver until I get paid. You're going to be able to get paid the day after you invoice, okay? As long as you, we of course have all the documentation on hand that you have the contract and that you're invoicing on that particular contract. We're going to set up, of course, an account for you where the invoice will fund you up to 80, 85%, 90% at the highest of what the invoice amount will be. And when your customer actually pays you, we will deduct the amount that you've been advanced from us, and you'll receive the overage there, okay? So I don't want you to worry about being able to afford to go after these opportunities out here, because that's really what holds most of us back. We're like, hey, I'd love to go after that large opportunity, but I know I don't have the funds. And just in case the customer pays slow, I want to be able to pay salaries and get started and get off the right way and maintain my reputation. So I don't want you to be afraid to go out there and go after these opportunities to help grow your business, okay? In addition to that, of course, here at Wacif, we offer advisory services and consulting. And those areas, of course, are financing, marketing, human resources, and everything else under the sun. We're really looking at your business becoming profitable. Our ideal clients are in business, of course, 2 to 3 years. You are a revenue producing entity, and you're looking to expand and grow based on your proof of concept thus far, meaning you have a product or service that you provide and customers have been buying it from you, and there's evidence of being able to transact with the public or with whatever sector you choose to provide to. All right, and then lastly here, of course, here is our intake form. If you go out online at wacif.org, you'll be able to see the Get Help button in red. It screams at you as soon as you come on the page at the top right-hand corner. Click on it, go to our intake form, fill out the information there, and let's get the ball started. Let's get the ball rolling. And if you are looking at going after opportunities out there, get in touch with us sooner than later, because what we can also do is take a look at your finances, your company, and provide that letter of support that you'll need as you're bidding on that contract. So you may show, hey, I'm working with an institution that provides the funds needed to get this job done. Okay. If you have questions, I want you to throw those in here, folks, while we're on the line. I know that we're almost coming up on the hour. If I missed anything there, I always know that my friend Rasul Shair will hop in and sort of add in what may have been left out. So Rasul, if you can add in anything that you think would be helpful to the folks, that'd be great.
Once again, Magic Lou making it happen. I don't have anything to add to that, bro. He's pretty much hit it on the dime, knocked it out the park. Anything else would be additive and really not anything in terms of crucial and sort of cornerstones to what the information that folks need with respect to the program. So I'm good from my side. Great job, Lou.
All right, cool, excellent. Lindsay, Q, anything that you'd like to add in here, questions, maybe things that we haven't thought of that folks out there may be thinking, but may not have the time to type into the chat?
I think anything that we didn't cover, I think I would just like to do an additional plug for the RFP response training tomorrow. I'm always keeping a close ear to what we're hearing from the institutions so that we can serve as a bridge in terms of relaying that feedback to the business community. And we are breaking down a lot of the key areas that we're hearing from the institutions as opportunities for growth. And so I just want to do a final plug for the training tomorrow. I think it'll be really valuable for the folks that are interested. Anything
Valuable
else?
indeed.
Anything
No, because,
else?
sorry, go ahead, Q.
Oh, no. I was just flipping through scrolling through the chat to make sure that the intake form for our MBEs is located in there, and I do see it, so I'm good to go.
Cool. And folks, this training tomorrow at 12 noon, hosted by CNHED, will save you thousands of dollars, and it's free. Okay, you can go check online. If you want someone to help you with the proposal, they're going to charge you several $1,000s. Okay, it's just what happens. But you need to have this skill set in place, or at least some sort of very high level understanding of what is involved and how it should appear and how to best position yourself, so that even if you go out and hire someone to help you do this, which I do recommend if you're pressed for time, that you understand what quality work should look like. You understand the basics of it so that you're not in the dark when you're hiring someone to help you do this. And of course, if you have the time, and I recommend that as well, to master this skill set yourself. So start tomorrow at 12 noon if you can. We have the link again in the chat here to sign up for that training. Lastly, of course, keeping up and following it with everyone here. If you want to take a look and hop on to our, of course, media handles, social media handles here, Wacif DMV, it's the same for Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also Twitter. And then, of course, on Twitter, it's @Wacif. And then, of course, on the World Wide Web, www.wacif.org. And I'll stop my share here. Do we have any other questions or anything that popped into the Q&A section that we can go ahead and address here at the last moment?
I didn't see any additional questions, but I do just want to thank you, Lou and Rasul. I know that our relationship between CNHED and Wacif runs deep, and Wacif was a founding community partner of DCAP when we first got started. So I just really want to thank the both of you and Wacif more broadly. And then also the businesses that are here, thank you for being here. We are interested in learning more about you and being in relationship with you. So we do hope to receive, if you aren't already a part of the network, we do hope to receive your information through the intake forms so that we can begin to learn more about your business and connect you to opportunities that are coming up. So I just wanted to make sure I said thank you. And thank you so much, Q, for being here as well and sharing your expertise with this group.
Thank you, everyone. Again, and a special thanks to you, Lindsay and Q, for joining us today to present this opportunity. Again, they've gone from 5 to 17 million in opportunities in just under 3 years. And we don't have the numbers for 2021 yet. So I know they're growing and they're really doing their thing. Please hop in, take advantage of this as soon as possible. Start this relationship, start getting out there and growing your network. This is a wonderful opportunity for you all to take advantage of, okay? And thanks. I'm going to sign off here. It's 11:01. We appreciate everybody for spending time with us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.